You may have heard me previously telling Wildwood Nature School's origin story, how I lucked into a location that was a converted barn that sat at the trailhead of a 30-mile trail that snakes through about 5,000 acres of one of the last remaining temperate rainforests in the world. One of the things that I don't often mention when I tell this origin story is that these 5,000 acres are called Forest Park. Now, the Olmsted brothers, um, who you may recall are famous for designing urban parks like Central Park in New York City or the public gardens in Boston Commons. The Olmsted brothers are the ones who advocated with Portland's mayor long time ago for setting aside these 5,000 acres as an urban forested park. Now, by the year 2050, the projections are that close to 70% of the world's population will live in urban areas. So, how we nurture children's relationships to the natural world now will determine how they take care of it later. Hello, I'm Nicole Travillas-Fravel, and this is Wildwood Teaching. In studies looking at what motivates people to adopt these pro-environmentally friendly behaviors, there are two overwhelming trends. The first one is that people who are proactive about conservation are people who have a deep connection or relationship to the natural world, this kinship that I talked about last week when I was reflecting on Dr. Robin Wall Kimmerer's talk. The second thing is that this kinship stems from direct experiences in nature in childhood. And the relationship remains remarkably stable throughout the adult years. So, in a 2018 article that appeared in Frontiers in Psychology, Giusti et al. Propose a progression from being in nature to being with nature to being for nature. And I think that this progression provides a convenient way for us to think about how we teach in nature-based preschool. So if we take that and tweak the progression slightly so that it reads learning in nature to learning with nature to learning for nature, then we have a framework for looking at the types of opportunities that we are providing for children. And so if you and your preschoolers are new to nature-based teaching and learning, now you have a starting point. And that starting point is learning in nature, right? And here, your goal is simply to bring the children outside. So that might be taking your read aloud for the day outside, having story time outside, or bringing the blocks to the playground, or going for a short walk. Or maybe you're not even ready to get outside yet, and you're going to bring as much nature as you can inside the classroom through decor, through those natural loose parts. But exactly what your group is doing in nature isn't important really at that step as just getting that immersion started. Because truthfully, the what of what you're doing in nature is going to come over time. I started this way, just bringing traditional preschool structure, elements, and materials like the blocks, our train set outside until gradually we spent more and more of our day outside. and we started noticing things. The hummingbird that was flitting near the bush as we were reading our read aloud, the bird calls, the squirrels that were chirping, the changing seasons. And the children started having questions. Where did all these holes in the leaves come from? How do the animals keep warm in the winter? If I follow the deer's tracks, can I try following the deer's tracks? Will I eventually find the deer and its home? And so as we observed and investigated, that's how we started learning with nature. And at that point, we needed less stuff from inside. And so what we brought outside were simple tools like magnifying glasses or art media, paint, colored pencils. All of these things were tools to aid our explorations. But the bulk of our preschool materials came from the natural world, right? The ground, the plants, fallen logs, the small creatures that we were encountering, the worms, the insects. And our day, too, the structure of our day looked less like traditional preschool and started following the rhythms of nature. We were quieter in the mornings. And then we became more active as the sun started waking up the plants and animals and spurred us to movement. We adapted to seasonal changes as we became connected in kinship to the environment. And again, this just led naturally to that next step in the progression. It definitely took a whole lot of time. But in the last few years, we started focusing more on learning for nature. We teachers started stressing gratitude and reciprocity, explicitly modeling for children our symbiotic relationship with nature. And as we foraged more, as we started collecting and harvesting those wild grapes, the berries, the maple blossoms, tapping the maple trees for the syrup, we, teachers and children alike, realized that we needed to give back in order to keep harvesting. So the children researched and experimented with how to keep our maple tree happy so that it would produce more maple syrup. They reduced their random leaf pulling because now they understood the role that the leaves played in keeping the trees healthy. They planted lavender right next to our apple tree so that we could attract the bees and help the apple tree produce more. So yes, it's definitely helpful to be aware of this progression, to start thinking about how we early educators can help children move from learning in nature to learning with nature to learning for nature. But if we simply take that first step of exposing children to nature and we make it frequent, extended, and consistent, as part of our daily routine, then the progression is going to take care of itself. I will be back next week with another edition of Wildwood Teaching, and I hope to see you there.